What's up guys, Houndish here, and today, oh boy, do we have some news from Bungie. So we've got one hell of a lot of stuff to talk about. This actually comes in the form of a development roadmap update. So we have a roadmap now extending into the summer and September of this year. They've also announced Season 4 for Destiny 2. On top of this though, we have an official announcement of the second expansion for Destiny 2, some details about how that is going to be revealed, and the release date for that expansion. So we'll get into that stuff first, and then I'll talk about the roadmap and some other big stuff coming down the road for Destiny 2. There's a lot of stuff to break down here, so let's jump straight into it. So first up, Bungie say on May the 8th, with the beginning of Season 3, we're also launching the second expansion to Destiny 2. So there we have it. The release date is May 8th. That is when we get Season 3. That is when we get the next expansion. Now, the next expansion is simply called Warmind. So they actually give us a piece of artwork right here, which is really interesting. We can see this kind of Warmind bunker, and then what appear to be some kind of weapons, on each corner of the bunker right there. And this really cool visual as well. I'm not really sure what this is, but it looks pretty awesome, and I really can't wait to actually check this out in the game. And like I said, it's called Warmind, which is pretty interesting, nothing complicated, simply Warmind. They do say that it will send us to new places to meet new heroes and battle new enemies. You'll earn new loot and master new activities. Today we're naming it and dating it, and you'll learn more in a reveal stream on April 24th. Mark your calendars and follow us on Twitch. So April 24th is when we will have the official reveal for this DLC. They may post a trailer before then or something, but it seems like that might not be the case with what they're presenting to us here. But another thing to note right there, master new activities. So there is going to be some new actual, types of activities in the game that presumably don't follow, that same kind of pattern of strikes or adventures. So obviously really exciting stuff, guys. Really cool that they showed us that piece of artwork, and we'll have to wait to learn more about this DLC. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Up next though, they actually talk about a development roadmap. So Chris Barrett says the team is very excited to extend the roadmap and share with you some of the big stakes that we're putting in the ground. Recent updates have focused on immediate issues to the live game, but in the coming months, our vision for the future is converging with critical player feedback to deliver transformative changes to Destiny 2. We'll be diving deeper into each one of the listed items soon. There's even more that we can't quite talk about yet, but for now it's all hands on deck to make sure we deliver on our promise to restore Destiny 2 to the hobby we all love. So this is the new version of the roadmap. Let's look at the summer. There will be a new seasonal event during the summer of this year. This is following the May 8th and Season 3 update that comes with the Warmind DLC. We'll also get some faction rally improvements, bounties, which I'm not quite sure what they mean. Does that literally mean bounties in the game, or like Bungie bounties? I think it means bounties in the game, which is pretty interesting. PC clan chat, and then exotic armor sandbox changes. So this is stuff that they're actually aiming to bring in a summer update. They haven't outlined exactly when that date will be just yet, but a new seasonal event, rally improvements, and bounties in particular, that stuff sounds pretty interesting. Then we have September, and this begins Season 4, so presumably that confirms as well the big, DLC actually coming in September of this year. But currently they've outlined gear collections, records, weapon slot changes, and weapon randomization, and more yet to be revealed. Now, collections and records, that might be kind of a records tab or a milestones tab, or just better tracking, for the things that you've done in the game in general. Weapon slot changes, though, of course, we've heard about recently. We don't know exactly what these are going to consist of yet. There are multiple different ways that Bungie may try to approach this, but also weapon randomization is pretty interesting as well. Not necessarily absolute confirmation of random rolls, but some kind of system that they're talking about here. Perhaps it could be the kind of intrinsic archetypes or something like that could actually be changing. Maybe we'd see, Uriel's gift as an example with 2 different rate of fires, and perhaps some kind of randomization in perks and things like that as well. That's not to say that pure random rolls won't return, but perhaps Bungie will look to innovate. They have, however, confirmed that some kind of randomization system will come for the weapons in September. So once again, a a pretty big deal right there. Obviously pretty exciting stuff, you know, a summer update, we don't have a date for it yet, but a seasonal event, you know, who knows what that could be. I'd really like them to do an SRL style thing again at some point. Summer Racing League, man, who knows what it could be. But then we do have, of course, September also with huge things like right there, weapon slot changes, randomization, and presumably that very big kind of fall style expansion for Destiny 2. But bouncing back to May the 8th is of course when Season 3 actually begins. This is when we get Warmind as well, but we'll get seasonal Crucible rankings, something we've got to learn a little bit more about, private matches, a vault space increase, multi-emote wheel, exotic weapon masterworks, seasonal vendor progression, exotic weapon sandbox changes, heroic strike modifiers, and nightfall challenge cards. But Bungie do go on to say on the subject of the roadmap that the community has been talking about some of the things we're developing for Season 4. Our goals for these features are to give you more control over how you configure your loadouts in Destiny 2 and give you more reasons to play the game over time. We also want to bring back those exciting moments when you acquire the perfect weapon. To make this happen, updates like weapon randomization, slot changes, gear collections, and records will be delivered to players. They also say that they now have a plan for the raid prestige changes, so including raid layers, and will update where it will land in the next development roadmap. Mod changes are being incorporated into our new plan for weapon randomization. So on top of, you know, any kind of randomization that's brand new for weapons in particular, they do actually plan to integrate mods 2.0 into weapon randomization, which is also confirmation of some kind of actual weapon mod system, because of course we have mods in the game, they do have their benefits and uses, but in terms of weapons, that system is very, very minimal. And I do genuinely think a combination of, you know, randomization in perks, I think that's important to the loot system as well as the sandbox and actually finding important gear, and a mod system that allows customization. You know, ultimately I think between RNG to some level, you know, creating that in the loot system, but also the option to actually create things for yourself with mods with predictable change, you know, somewhere between those two things could be very good for this game if Bungie get it right. So obviously pretty exciting stuff on that front as well. But on the subject of Season 3, Bungie do say it marks the beginning of a new plan for how they'll deliver Crucible content. For every player of D2, we'll be releasing all of the new Crucible maps being developed for Warmind into matchmaking. The same goes for the maps we released with Curse of Osiris. To keep the community and the Crucible unified, everyone will see new arenas in match-made playlists like Quick Pay, Competitive, Trials of the Nine, Iron Banner, as well as the new weekly rotators, and that includes Rumble and Mayhem, and that means more opponents for everyone. With the arrival of private matches, players will need to purchase each expansion to have exclusive access to play those Crucible maps with other players in a private match. This plan goes into effect on May 8th with the beginning of Season 3. So in the actual match-made Crucible, they will be releasing all of the DLC maps for all players, so you'll be able to play on those maps regardless of whether you own the DLC, basically to, by the looks of it, kind of improve the population, which will, you know, of course, improve matchmaking. It may also make it a bit easier in the future for Bungie to do more specific playlists which don't rotate or go away, you know, things like Rumble, because the player base is less segregated. So that is also going to be a pretty positive change. So there we go, guys, some very interesting stuff. To break down the bulk of it, we will be seeing Bounties returning. We've got a summer seasonal event coming after the launch of the next DLC. In September, they're working on gear collections, records, weapon slot changes, and weapon randomization. That is now confirmed. And then of course on May 8th we will get the new DLC entitled Warmind, which of course we saw that artwork for, which is very exciting stuff. So let me know your thoughts, let me know how you feel about this particular update, guys. I think there's a lot of positive stuff in here. Of course we have to see the content, we have to see the changes before we can really make a decision, but it looks like we're going in a very positive direction in general. Things are going to improve for D2 in my opinion. A couple of other quick things to note. Bungie did confirm that basically all of the weapons would see some tuning when we get that May update, and they are working on the exotics. John Wisniewski referred to the 6v6 exotic Rat King masterwork, so it's going to be very interesting to see how those systems are actually implemented into the game. And of course masterwork exotics will be a thing in general in the game. I'm assuming armor and weapons will get that at the same time because Bungie just defined them as masterwork exotics in general, but of course that's going to be a pretty interesting feature of this update. The buffs to armor pieces in particular though will come later on down the road in the summer. There's also a lot of talk about, with these exotic buffs, we will be seeing time to kill changes. Cosmo did actually respond to a Reddit post about this and said currently it is the exotics that are, having the focus of time to kill changes on them in the game. We saw what Vigilance Wing kind of did after the March update. They also give us the example of the Drang inside of PvP. So I think this exotic stuff could be pretty interesting. On another more current note though, someone did ask DMG about the ornaments for Iron Banner because of course Iron Banner was cancelled this week. DMG did say this isn't the last planned Iron Banner for Season 2 and the goal is to have Iron Banner return as soon as next week. We'll have more info when we get it. So we could actually see Iron Banner potentially in the next couple of weeks, assuming they get that bug fixed, and they do have other ones planned before we actually get to Season 3 if you are worrying about that stuff. So anyway, those are just some other quick updates, but of course, let me know your thoughts on the really important stuff in this update and the DLC stuff. It certainly looks pretty exciting. If you have enjoyed the video, a like is very much appreciated. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more D2 content. For now though, I hope you have an awesome day.